all the way back in March this year, I got myself a bunch of games from Humble Bundle. Obviously, as any sane person would do, I got to playing the ones that made me buy it in the first place, while forgetting that the other even existed. But then came summer and suddenly I had time. Crazy, right? So I remembered about all the games that I haven't even looked at to find something that could fill the pitch black, howling void of my own consciousness. And there I saw it. Looking like an acid addict's therapy painting with Adult Swim-like font all over it. I knew it was the one. Buckle up, kiddos. We're in for a ride. Post Void is an arcade first-person shooter roguelike where only two things matter. Fast and the amount of e-liquid inside your cranium. Taking place in the era of Post Void in a place called Post Void, you start each run with just your pistol and need to get through 11 levels and the epilogue. Obviously you'll encounter many enemies on your way through each stage, but alas, peace was never an option. As time goes on and as you get hit, your dragon fruit e-juice nectar will drain. But don't worry, the souls of your enemies can help you with retaking what has been lost. You start the game with your trusty squirt gun that you've used on many occasions for inserting gasoline into your eyeballs. And to be honest, it's not half bad, especially for sniping. Years of psychedelics abuse does pay off, I guess. After ending every level, you get to choose from 3 upgrades. Super. Sometimes you'll get one that gives you a different weapon, other times you get bigger clips or faster reload time. There are some upgrades that just straight up win the game for you, and there are others that are just, well, they're fucking useless. But if you want the game to be beatable by a newborn, the most powerful combination, in my opinion, is rubber bullets plus explosive ammo. Essentially, anytime you encounter a swarm of enemies, you'll have to kill just one, and everyone else will follow suit. As for the weapons, if you're a Giga Chad, you'll go all the way to the end with just the pistol. That isn't to say the other options aren't fun as fuck though. Take for example the double barrel shotgun. Okay, I'm saying double barrel, but you can actually have it store like 6 rounds per reload with bigger clips. This thing one-shots everything, and I mean everything in the game. It's fucking awesome. If you combine it with the aforementioned RB plus EA combo, it's GG. Then you have the Uzi, which has to be my least liked weapon in the game because of its recoil. Like, goddamn, this thing be hard to tame. I don't know, I just prefer any other weapon over this thing, but it doesn't make the game unbeatable. Last but not least, we have every 14-year-old Counter-Strike player's dream. The London Special. The knife, like the shotty, has the ability to one-shot anything. But with the knife, you actually have to get in melee range. Not to mention you got a slice, which requires you to hold down L and B. And since this thing shoots no rounds and has no clips, it makes like a third of the upgrades completely pointless. But this is another opportunity to show some Patrick Batemanism. Just pick up the knife and then keep selecting useless upgrades. Just be aware you may feel a little funny in the crotch area when doing this, but don't worry, it's just your cock growing in size and possibly experiencing the effects of thermal expansion. On your voyage you'll encounter many different e-liquid sources. I'm sorry, John the Doggos, most attractive German women, Twitter users, mechanical mosquitoes, whoring walls, renewable $200, and doggos who very smoothly turned to crime. Doggos are actually called black suits, but for some reason when you hit them they make dog noises. They just shoot a gun and jump around from time to time. They are reliable sources of e-liquid since the very first level.
Die Mädchen
will run at you in an attempt to get the D since the very second they see you. And though they are pretty easy to kill, if they bite your peen once, it's gonna hurt. The shit takes people can literally be killed with one shot due to their fragile ego, no matter what weapon you're using. Once they spot you, they will endlessly throw lines like ratio, you fell off, you're white, etc. They may also leak your home address every once in a while. The motherfuckers have got to be my most hated enemy in the game. Not only do they shoot at you, they can also saw you with their rotor blades. Oh yeah, did I mention that merely touching them deals damage to you and slows you down a fuck ton? This wouldn't be a problem if speed wasn't like the most important thing in the game. Not only that, these pieces of shit barely give you any health back when killed. I stopped counting how many of my runs they've ruined. Fuck telehands. All my homies hate telehands. Then we have the harlotry barriers, which, despite their name, are actually the real G's. They will never attack you, and when you kill them, they drop the most fruity goodness out of every enemy. I know it's bros before hoes, but what if a hoe is a bro? Next on the list is the oh my fucking god, my eyes. They are the second and last unit to not deal damage to the player, instead opting for camping behind corners to temporarily disable your dark mode and possibly make you go deaf. And that's about it. They're just the balloon boy of Post Void. Last but not least, we've got sleek canine felons. They are doggo reskin for the third act with a little higher concentration of heroin in their bloodstream. They may also be suffering from untreated ADHD because holy fuck do they jump around a lot. Now I'd like to take a moment to appreciate the game's graphics. You have some very aesthetic sprites, and overall everything just looks very pleasing to the eye if you're a fan of more psychedelic visuals. The only problem is, if you're standing exactly above an enemy, they will just vanish into thin air. Then again, this is a 3-dimensional game with 2-dimensional characters, so what you gonna do? But again, I think the devs nailed this one artistically. Speaking of which, let's talk sound effects. I've already said that doggos sound like, well, doggos, but every enemy in the game has their own distinct sounds, which makes it easier to recognize what the fuck is going on, because sometimes the screen will just look like a complete clusterfuck. Not saying that's a bad thing though. For example, let's say you've encountered a group of enemies and you think you've cleaned everything up, when suddenly you hear loud footsteps behind you. That's how you know someone's coming for your peeny weenie. Also, the sound of a headshot landing is just juicy, man. Take a listen. And lastly, I want to mention the music. Even though the game has one track playing on loop during a run, I can't seem to get fed up with it, cause that shit slaps. Stick to the end, you'll see what I mean. And even if you get enough of it, simply mute the music in the settings and play something of your own choosing. Oh yeah, you get an achievement for doing that, by the way. I've been talking for way too long at this point. Now enjoy the montage.